Evan Cole had been living on the colony world of Vyelix for almost 3 years. It was a place far from Earth, built among red deserts and blue metal canyons, where oxygen domes shimmered like bubbles under a pale sun. Humans had come here to mine, trade, and survive. Life wasn't easy, but it was quiet, and Evan liked that. He worked as a mechanic at the colony's shipyard, repairing old freighters and cargo haulers that came limping in from deep space. His hands were always covered in grease, his eyes tired from long shifts. And his evenings were simple: a shower, a meal, and silence in his small 2-room apartment. At the outer edge of the colony, everything changed the day his roommate arrived. Housing shortages were normal on Vyelix. The colony AI often reassigned living quarters to make room for newcomers. One morning, Evan returned from work to find the door registered flashing, "New resident confirmed, Salviran." He frowned. He hadn't requested anyone. Inside boxes stood neatly near the wall, silver containers marked with alien script. A soft humming filled the air. Then he heard a voice, calm, musical, and strange. "You are Evan Cole." He turned and saw her. Sale was tall, slender, and graceful in a way that made movement look like art. Her skin had a faint metallic tone, like sunlight on water, and her golden eyes seemed to shift in brightness as she looked around the room. She wore layered robes of soft fabric that hid most of her body, and a faint scent of rain followed her wherever she moved. Evan nodded, a little awkward. "Yeah, guess we're roommates now." She inclined her head politely. "Yes. I was told this unit has low human traffic and stable temperature. That suits me." Her voice was calm, almost emotionless. She spoke perfect common, though her accent stretched certain words. Evan tried to make conversation, but she stayed quiet most of the time, only answering when necessary. Over the next few days, he learned little things about her. She always kept the air cool, almost cold. She avoided eating with him, preferring to drink from a glass sphere of clear fluid that shimmered faintly. She never touched him or allowed herself to be near heat, and each evening she locked herself in the bathroom for an hour, during which the lights flickered blue through the frosted door. At first, Evan thought she was just shy or from a species with strange customs. Many aliens on Vyelix were like that: private, cautious, careful to follow rules their culture demanded, so he let it be. But small mysteries built up. Sometimes, when she bathed, the apartment temperature dropped sharply. Frost appeared on the window edges, and his breath misted in the air. Once, he noticed thin water trails on the floor, glowing faintly before vanishing. Another time, his tools near the bathroom door had small water droplets that didn't behave like water at all. They floated for a second before sinking down. One evening, after another long day repairing ships, Evan returned home exhausted. The colony power grid was unstable that week, and power surges hit every few hours. When he entered the apartment, the lights flickered and dimmed. Sale was home. He could hear faint humming from the washroom, her voice, maybe, or some kind of resonance. He dropped his tool bag and went to check the circuit board near the washroom wall. Sparks flicked from the fuse box, and the backup battery blinked red. "Not again," he muttered, opening the panel. Then the lights went out completely. The hum from the washroom stopped. In the sudden silence, only the soft drip of water remained. Evan reached for the emergency flashlight, but it slipped from his hand and rolled near the bathroom door. He bent to pick it up, and as he did, the door slid open. The power failure had disabled the lock. He looked up inside the room. Pale blue light filled the air, not from bulbs, but from her. Sal stood in the center of a misty pool, surrounded by floating droplets that shimmered like glass pearls. Her body glowed faintly, not like skin reflecting light, but as if light lived inside her. Her shape was delicate but not entirely solid. Her arms seemed to shift in texture. Her hair floated around her as though she were underwater, and faint patterns moved across her skin like flowing rivers for a long second. Evan forgot to breathe. Sale turned slowly, golden eyes meeting his. Shock crossed her face, or something like it. The light in the room pulsed, Evan, her voice echoed softly, layered with tones not made by human vocal cords. I'm sorry. He stammered. The power? The door? I didn't mean to. She raised a hand. The droplets around her froze midair. The door slid shut behind him with a soft hiss. You weren't supposed to see this, she said quietly. Her tone wasn't angry. It sounded more like fear. Evan kept his hands visible, careful not to move closer. I swear I won't say anything. I just came to fix the fuse. The door had opened on its own. For a moment, she said nothing. Then the blue glow faded slightly. She stepped back, light folding into her form until she looked more solid, more humanoid again. You humans, she said softly, are not meant to see our true state. It is forbidden. Evan frowned, still stunned. Your true state, you mean? This is what you really look like? She hesitated, then nodded. My kind are called Lorien. We come from the ocean worlds born of water and energy. On dry planets, we must maintain a false form to survive among others. Exposure is dangerous for us. Her eyes glowed brighter for a moment. If the colony authorities learn what I am, they will remove me. My kind are not allowed here. Evan blinked. Remove you? Why? You're not hurting anyone. It is not about harm, she said softly. It is about control. They fear what they do not understand. He saw the faint trembling in her hands and realized she was scared not of him, but of what might happen if word got out. Slowly, he picked up the flashlight and held it out. Beam turned away. Then no one will know, he said. Not from me. Her expression softened slightly. You would hide what you saw? Yeah, he said simply. You're my roommate. I don't turn on my friends. The word friend seemed to surprise her. She looked away for a long moment, the glow in her body dimming further until her form looked almost normal again. You saw something rare, she whispered. Among my people, we call it the flow, the living pattern of who we are. It connects us to our world. Here, far from home, I can only release it when I bathe. It helps me survive. Evan nodded slowly. That explains the cold air. And the frost. She gave a small nod. Water is part of me. When I am near it, my energy stabilizes. He smiled gently. Guess we'll just need to fix that power grid fast, huh? Something almost like amusement flickered across her face. You are strange, human. Yeah, I get that a lot. She hesitated again. Evan, you truly mean not to tell anyone? I promise, he said firmly. Not a word. The air between them felt lighter. Slowly, she extended her hand. For the first time, her fingers touched his. Her skin felt cool, almost like smooth glass, but alive. Faint pulses of light ran beneath the surface. Thank you, she said quietly. If anyone knew, I would have to leave. Evan gave a half smile. You've got nothing to worry about for me? She released his hand, the light fading completely now. Then we are. Roommates again? She said softly. He nodded, still amazed. Yeah, roommates. As she turned away, the blue mist dissolved into the air, and the emergency lights flicked back on. Evan stood there for a moment longer, trying to process what he had seen, an alien made of light and water. Hiding in human form, living quietly beside him. When she finally left the washroom, she was wrapped once more in her layered robes, her face calm as if nothing had happened. She glanced at him briefly. The power system should be stable now, she said. He nodded. Yeah, I'll double-check the circuits tomorrow. Then she did something unexpected. She placed her hand lightly on his shoulder. You saw something sacred tonight, she said. I trust you to keep it safe. Her touch was cold, but gentle, and then she walked to her room, leaving behind a faint shimmer in the air. Like the memory of rain, Evan sat on the edge of his bunk long after she was gone. Staring at the ceiling lights that now glowed steady, he replayed the moment in his mind, the light, the mist, the calm voice that held both fear and beauty. He didn't understand what kind of being she truly was. But one thing was clear. She wasn't dangerous. She was just different. Alone, maybe, and somehow he felt that seeing her true form wasn't a mistake at all. It was a beginning. Outside, the winds of Vero 6 howled over the domes, carrying fine dust across the colony. Inside, in that small apartment, a secret now lived between a human mechanic and his alien roommate. Fragile, bright, and full of questions yet to come. Every morning, he left early for the shipyard. Every night, when he came home, he noticed the faint traces of Sail's quiet presence, the cool air, the soft hum of her equipment, and the gentle blue light that slipped under her door while she worked. She still moved through the apartment with calm grace. But something had changed between them. Before, she had been distant, polite but silent. Now, she looked at him differently, as if she carried a small weight of trust. Sometimes she asked questions about humans. Why do your kind build machines to fly when your world has air? She asked one evening. Evan laughed. Because flying is freedom. We don't like staying in one place. She tilted her head. Freedom. My people chase that too, but in the ocean currents. We flow wherever the tide allows. That night, she showed him something strange. In the center of the living room, she set a bowl of clear water and touched it lightly. The water began to glow, forming shapes, soft spirals of light, symbols that looked alive. This is how my people record memory, she said. Water remembers shape and sound. When we speak to it, it listens. Evan stared, amazed. You mean you can store thoughts in water? She nodded. Only when it trusts us. He laughed softly. You talk like it's alive. She smiled faintly. Maybe it is. As days passed, their friendship grew. He helped her repair her cooling unit, and she helped him with engine blueprints he couldn't understand. Her mind was quick, precise. She seemed to see through metal as if it were glass. When he got frustrated over a broken ship circuit, she touched the console and closed her eyes. Energy flows through it like veins, she said. You must guide it, not force it. He did as she said, and the system hummed to life. He looked at her with surprise. You could be a great engineer, he said. She looked away. I was one, once, on my world. That was the first time she spoke about her past. Sail had come from Lurian Prime, a world covered in endless oceans and floating cities. Her people, born of water and light, lived in deep unity with nature. But then the surface burned, storms of radiation, war between empires, and the poisoning of seas. The survivors scattered across space, hiding their forms to live among the dry races. I came here to learn, she said quietly. To see how humans build things that last without harmony. To understand how you live apart from your world and still survive. Ven was silent for a moment. We survive because we keep fixing what breaks, he said. That's all we know. She looked at him, eyes glowing softly. Then you are not so different from us. But peace did not last long. One morning, when Evan reached the shipyard, he noticed the security patrol drones circling slower than usual. Their lights were red instead of blue. His foreman whispered that the colony government had received new orders from the Central Authority. Someone detected energy pulses near the outer district, the foreman said. They think it's from a hidden life form, not human, not registered. Evan's stomach tightened. That night, he hurried home and found Sail sitting near the window, her eyes fixed on the sky. They are searching, she said quietly, before he even asked. The scanners touched the edges of our home. He took a breath. Then they'll find your readings soon, she nodded. Yes, I can hide it for a few days, but not forever. He paced the room. You said exposure is dangerous, right? What happens if they find you? They will detain me, she said. Study me. Perhaps return me to the authorities that destroyed my home. Her calm tone made the words colder. Evan stopped pacing. We can't let that happen. She looked at him, faint surprise in her golden eyes. We. He nodded firmly. I said I'd keep your secret. That means I help you. Sail hesitated. Why? You owe me nothing. Maybe not, he said, but you trusted me when you didn't have to. That's worth something. For the first time, she smiled, not faintly, but with warmth. It was brief, but real. That night, they worked together to plan her escape. Evan sketched maps of maintenance tunnels under the colony, narrow routes that connected the cooling system and power lines. Few people used them, but he knew every corner. "I can build a portable tank," he said, pulling parts from his toolkit. "It won't hold much, but enough water to keep you stable until we reach the docks." She helped him shape the tank. Her hands glowed as she sealed the joints with liquid metal. When she worked, her calm returned. "Your machines are loud but loyal," she said. "They obey your will," he chuckled. "Sometimes they bite back." By dawn, a small round container stood between them, half machine, half sculpture. Sail touched its side, and the metal shimmered as water flowed inside, alive with light. "It will work," she said softly. "But we must leave soon." The next evening, sirens echoed through the streets. Drones flew lower, scanning doors and windows. Evan could feel vibration under the floor as scanners swept through the district. He looked at her. "We go now." She nodded, pulling her hood low and stepping into the tank's harness. It connected to a small pack on his back that circulated water around her body through thin tubes. They moved through the hallway quietly. The lights above flickering red, Evan guided her through narrow corridors, avoiding guards. Once, a patrol drone passed so close that its shadow brushed her shoulder. The machine paused, its red light scanning. Evan held his breath. Sail raised her hand slightly, and the air shimmered. A thin mist appeared, soft, cool, and silent. The drone's sensors blinked, then turned away. He exhaled. "Remind me to thank you later. There's a later," she whispered. They continued through the tunnels until they reached the lower dock. The bay was empty except for one old cargo ship, a freighter Evan had repaired months ago, now awaiting disposal. Its systems barely worked, but it could fly for a short while. He opened the hatch. "Get in. I'll handle the launch." Sail hesitated. "Evan, if they catch you helping me, they will punish you." He smiled slightly. "Then I'll just have to not get caught." For a moment, her golden eyes softened. Then she stepped inside. They powered up the freighter. The engines whined weakly, but the control panel lit green. Evan adjusted the settings, bypassing the colony's launch authority. The COM channel hissed. A robotic voice spoke. "Unauthorized launch detected. Identify yourself." Evan slammed a switch. "Not today," he muttered. The ship rose shakily, clearing the dock doors. Alarms screamed across the colony. Patrol ships lifted off after them. Sail placed her hands on the metal wall. Her light flowed through the panels, merging with the systems. "I can hide us," she said. "How?" She closed her eyes. The ship's hull shimmered, bending light around it like rippling water. From the outside, they vanished. Evan grinned. "You're full of surprises. Only when needed." They soared into the thin atmosphere, the twin moons rising ahead. Behind them, the colony lights faded into the red horizon, but the journey was far from over. Sail's strength weakened. Her glow dimmed. "I cannot hold the veil for long," she said. "The water in the tank is losing its charge." Evan adjusted the pressure valves. "Hold on, there's an old relay station 2 hours away. We'll stop there and refuel." "I will try." Time passed slowly. The stars outside glimmered through the cracked viewport. Evan kept glancing at her reflection, faint blue light flickering like a candle. When they finally reached the station, the ship barely responded. It landed roughly on the metal pad, shaking. Evan rushed to her side. "Sail." She was pale, her form unstable. "I need contact with pure water," she whispered. He looked around. The station had an old cooling tower still connected to a small frozen reservoir. He ran to open it, breaking the rusted valve with a wrench. Cold vapor filled the room as clear water poured out. He carried her closer. As soon as her hand touched the flow, her body steadied. Light returned to her skin, bright and calm. She looked up at him. "You risked everything for me," he shrugged. "You'd have done the same," she smiled softly. "Humans are strange creatures," he said, "but we make good friends." Hours later, as she recovered, they stood near the viewport together. The station drifted above a planet covered in clouds. She traced the window with her glowing finger. This world has oceans, she said. We could stay here for a time. Evan nodded. Long enough to rest, at least. Silence filled the room, peaceful, not tense. She turned to him. You saw what I truly am. You saw what others fear. Yet you stayed. He looked at her gently. Maybe that's what humans do best. We see what's strange, and we learn to care anyway. For a moment, her glow brightened, reflecting in his eyes like sunlight on water. Then perhaps, she said softly, your kind and mine are not so different after all. Outside the window, the stars spread across the black sky, endless, cold, and full of hope. Inside the silent station, a mechanic and an alien stood side by side, both far from home. Both bound by a secret that had begun with an accident and turned into something far greater than either expected. The small relay station drifted silently above the planet, its metal walls reflecting starlight. Inside, Evan worked to stabilize the freighter's systems, making sure Sail's portable tank stayed intact. She rested quietly, her translucent form now steady and glowing softly, the cool water circulating around her like a living ribbon of light. For hours they remained in silence. Outside, the stars passed slowly, distant and unmoving, but within the station, two very different beings shared a fragile peace. Evan had spent his life fixing machines, never expecting to protect a being like Sail, someone whose very form seemed alive with energy. Yet here he was, feeling a strange sense of purpose that went beyond engines and circuits. Finally, Sail spoke. Evan, I must tell you something. Her voice was calm but serious, carrying a weight he had not heard before. He looked up. What is it? The colony authorities are not the only ones who know my people exist, she said softly. There are hunters across this system. They track the flow, the energy that sustains us. They find me, they will take me from this place. They will not care about treaties or kindness. I must leave this sector entirely or I will be captured. Evan frowned. Then what do we do? Go somewhere else? Sail shook her head. Not just anywhere. There is a sanctuary beyond the Kyril. Expanse, a hidden ocean world where my people survive the storms. Few know its coordinates. Few have reached it. He straightened. Then that's where we go. I'll get you there. His golden eyes widened slightly. You risk your life for me again? I've already done it once, he said, besides. For a long moment, she was silent. Then she spoke softly, almost a whisper. Humans. You do not always choose survival over compassion. That is rare. He smiled faintly. Maybe that's just one thing we get right sometimes. They spent the next day preparing. Evan patched minor damage on the freighter, reinforced the water tank, and programmed a new flight path through the Kyril expanse. Sail worked beside him, her light glowing brighter as she touched panels and adjusted circuits, stabilizing the ship. For a time, they moved in perfect harmony, human and Lurian, working together to survive. When the freighter was ready, the colony outside still hummed with activity. Drones and patrol ships combed the streets, scanning for anomalies. Evan guided the ship toward the docking bay carefully, ensuring their exit would be unnoticed. Sail rested inside the water tank, her light flickering as the freighter lifted off. Outside, the desert moon rose, casting long shadows across the domes. They passed low over the colony's perimeter, evading radar and sensors. The journey ahead would be dangerous, but for the first time Evan felt a strange confidence. They had made it this far together, hours into the flight. The freighter passed through the first clouds of the Kyril expanse. The space around them shimmered with particles of light and drifting ice, remnants of ancient collisions. Evan maneuvered, carefully adjusting the shields as small fragments hit the hull. Sail stirred slightly, her hands moving over the side of the tank. The flow is weak, she murmured. We must reach open water soon, or I will not hold form. Evan nodded. I know, just a little further. The exoplanet came into view, a massive globe covered in deep blue oceans and floating islands of rock. Its surface glowed faintly in the reflected starlight, waves spreading like liquid mirrors. Evan's breath caught. He had never seen anything like it. It's beautiful, he whispered, Sail's golden eyes reflected the water below. "Home," she said simply. The freighter descended slowly, landing on a natural dock formed by an enormous floating rock. Water lapped at the sides, glowing faintly. Evan opened the hatch and guided the portable tank to the edge. "This is it," he said. "This is as far as I can go with you in the tank." She looked at him, her form now shimmering with full energy. "I will step into my world. The flow will protect me from hunters, but I could not have reached it without you," he swallowed. "Then we stick together a little longer," he said. Carefully, he lifted the tank and placed it on the water's edge. Sail touched the surface, and instantly, her form spread into the water, light rippling, flowing, merging with the liquid around her. Now, Evan watched, amazed, as she became both herself and the ocean at once. The air shimmered, reflecting the flowing patterns of energy that moved across the surface. For a moment, she looked at him. Her voice carried over the water like a soft song. "You are brave, human. You have learned what it means to trust without fear." He smiled faintly. "And you've taught me what it means to see something wonderful without trying to control it." Then the quiet was broken by distant signals, faint alarms from the edge of the planet. Hunters were approaching, drawn by the flow. Sail's light flared, spreading across the water as she began to stabilize herself fully. "Evan, step back," she said urgently. "I can protect us." He hesitated. "I promise to stay with you. We'll be safe if you leave," she said softly, her glowing form rising above the water. "You cannot fight what moves through the oceans of my world." But Evan didn't move. "We face it together," he said. Sail paused, then allowed a ripple of energy to sweep toward him, casing him in a protective bubble of glowing water. Outside, hunters approached, sleek ships of black metal, their light scanning. As they drew near, they slowed and hesitated, unable to detect either Evan or Sail in their true forms. Evan felt the water bubble shift and pulse around him, her power steadying him. "I don't understand it," he whispered. "How are they seeing nothing?" She replied softly, "The flow shields what it trusts. You are part of it now." A sense of awe swept through him, not fear, not doubt, just the incredible feeling of being connected to something far larger than himself. The hunters moved past the dock, unaware of the human and Lurian who had outwitted them. Sail lowered the flow around them, settling gently into the calm water. Evan stepped out of the protective bubble, feeling the cool ocean lap at his boots. "You did it," he said softly. She looked at him, her glowing form dimming to a calm shimmer. "No," she said. "We did it. Together." Evan shook his head. "Still, I've never seen anything like you before. Never anything like this." Sail smiled faintly, her golden eyes soft. "And now you know what the universe can hold, if you are willing to see it." Days passed as Evan and Sail rested on the floating islands. The water healed her fully, and the energy that sustained her returned stronger than before. Evan learned about her people, how they moved with currents, how their forms adapted to different waters, and how they preserved memory and knowledge through flow in return. He shared human stories about his home, about machines, about survival against odds. Sail listened intently, fascinated by how humans managed to adapt without magic, without energy manipulation, simply through ingenuity, courage, and persistence. "You humans are resilient," she said one evening, as the twin moons reflected off the water. "You have something my kind rarely sees, an unyielding will to continue, even when the world breaks around you." He smiled. "Guess that's what it means to be human?" Sail's glow flickered brighter, almost as if the water itself reflected her admiration. "Perhaps," she said softly. "And perhaps that is why I trusted you. You embody what your kind can be." Eventually, they could not stay forever. Sail's sanctuary was safe, but the flow was strong and noticeable. Hunters might eventually track them here if they lingered too long. She turned to Evan. "You must decide now," she said. "Return to your world or continue with me beyond the expanse. The choice is yours." He looked at the ocean, the glowing islands, and her luminous form. He thought about Earth, about the colony, and about everything he had left behind. But he also thought about the incredible experience he had shared with her, friendship and trust they had built. "I stay," he said finally. Her eyes widened. "You choose. To leave your world behind?" "I choose to see more of this one," he said. "To see more with you?" A soft ripple of energy pulsed around her. "Then so be it," she said. "Together we will travel, and perhaps one day the universe will know both our strengths." The freighter, repaired and shielded by Sail's energy, lifted again. Evan piloted while Sail guided them, weaving through currents of space like a fish in the ocean. Stars passed, nebulas glimmered, and planets loomed in quiet majesty through it all. Evan realized how small humans were, yet how mighty their courage could be when combined with trust, friendship, and compassion. Sail's people were ancient, fluid, and powerful, yet she had chosen him, a simple mechanic, to share her secret and journey with. It was more than he could have imagined, and yet somehow it felt perfectly right. As the ship drifted into the stars, the lights of Vyelix faded behind them. Evan looked at Sail, her form shimmering gently in the water tank. "Ready for the next adventure?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Always human, always." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, full of danger, mystery, and wonder. But together, they would face it one step, one current, one star at a time. And for the first time, Evan realized that the universe was not just vast, cold, or dangerous. It was alive, radiant, and waiting for those brave enough to see its beauty. He had seen the unimaginable. He had trusted the impossible. And in return, he had found a companion unlike any other. The journey had only begun.